Sheffy. Welcome.
You can start the clock. I'm Tony Sheffy, an attorney in Southington, 166 North Main Street, Southington, Connecticut, the law firm of Sheffy, Denegris, Gray, and Bedard. I'm here on behalf of the Chases tonight and other neighbors who live in the area of the Allen Street Basin and on Roxbury Road here in town to talk about the unprecedented flooding issues they've been experiencing. I think that you'll see when Mr. Chase gets up to speak, and also Mr. McNamara, that the flooding that is going on right now, probably as the result of climate change, but be that as it may, is really not being swept away by the stormwater system in place. The pipes are antiquated, they're inadequate. This has been going on a long time, and I think you'll hear Mr. Chase talk about that tonight. I think it's only going to get worse, and I think that the time is now for us to do something. There's always a question of money, and I know that it costs a lot of money to do these projects that aren't as exciting as some of the other projects that could be done. It's not high profile, it's stormwater removal, but it means a lot to these folks because their property's at stake, and the health and welfare of your residents here is at stake. I mean, we cannot have flooding that is, well, when you see some of these pictures, you'll understand what I mean. So I'm going to ask, rather than use up a lot of your time, I'm going to ask Mr. McNamara, or I think maybe next on the list, or Mr. Chase, to come up and go ahead and address you. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
John?
Good evening. Good to see you again, Mr. Dyson. My name is John McNamara. I live at 56 Brighton Street. And I'm here, as the attorney said, to address a flooding and stormwater issue in my neighborhood after meeting and talking with neighbors this summer around the neighborhood. On my part of Brighton Street, where I have lived for 38 years, stormwater collects in the middle and can flow into basements. My neighbors, Carmen, who's here, at 50 Brighton Street, 2 doors down, have had to deal with water coming up to the top of the stairs in their cellar. The testimony and documentation that you'll hear from Mr. Chase and others I think you'll hear confirms that a great deal of damage has already been done in terms of personal finance and loss. And based on the recurring heavy rains that city officials have told me is climate change related, the risk to property and safety is getting worse. We did not plan the rainstorm this morning before coming here tonight. And we also recognize that Public Works needs to fix the system. It's a monumental task, a system that long ago had its capacity outspent because of development, and is doing so through the Flush Initiative. 5 phases, $90 million, I hear. And only within the last 15 years have building codes and city plans begun to catch up. A recent analysis that I found of natural hazards in the city, Council of Governments and a consultant, said the undersized pipes result in flooding, sewer backup, system leaks, and other problems. So the question is, when will the city replace the pipes and drains in places where immediate action is needed? The same report, I might add, assessed the flood risk, recognized the flood risk on Allen Street, but mistakenly said our neighborhood, quote, experiences occasional flooding once every few years that can affect a couple of homes. The consultant who wrote that has never been in this neighborhood. Is that why the city takes a pass every year to do something about it? It's been 5 times this summer, and not a couple, but dozens of homes put at risk. If you look at your capital improvement program, you just adopted it in June. Council okayed $6.7 million for the Allen Street infrastructure project from Oak to Beacon Streets. But it's on the shelf till 2027-28. Every year for the last half dozen, this project has been approved by the council. And every year there's been a delay. For whatever reason, the city has not used sources normally used for fixing one of the system's biggest trouble spots. The funding sources are alluded to, and I don't know whether you need a grant writer or something, but that money hasn't come through. So the point I want to make is I think the opportunity is here now with the balance, any balance of remaining ARPA funds. The ARPA law states specifically that this is one need that is ideal for the funding adopted in 2021, for which the city received $56 million. You've built, it's fine, a $20 million public works garage, a great new playground at Osgood Park, $7 million or $5 million maybe for fiber wiring the city that benefits one company. But,
Cut you off, John.
okay, well, I just want to say the city has a plan, it has the money, and residents should not have to wait another 5 years. They've waited 30 years in this neighborhood. Allen Street needs to be put on the top of the list. I urge that balance of ARPA money be used to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank Chase?
Could you pass these around to the folks around the square here? My name is Frank Chase, 24 Roxbury Road. I'm a 35-year resident in this property. My wife Sharon has lived in New Britain for 70-plus years, and 50 years at 24 Roxbury. Just got some photos coming around the room here for you all. Sharon purchased this property in 1973. At the time, there was no evidence of flooding or water infiltration. It was bone dry in the basement. Please review the photos of our neighborhood during the flooding event of July 4th of this year. We have flooded 4 more times since July 4th. We've spent $2,800 on flood-related equipment purchases and flood insurance to date. We've spent $3,000 on flood-related losses to date. It's a total of $5,800. Over the years, we've received the following information from city and state officials detailing the issues in the Allen Street Basin. Back in the 90s, the engineering department was asked to perform a technical analysis of the drainage system that serves the Allen Street Basin. The system in this area fails to handle intense rainfall. The engineers determined that the Allen Street Basin, which includes the Hampton-Eaton area, needs upgrades. The total project cost to replace the Allen Street Basin was estimated at $1.5 million back in the 90s. Then we learned that in the early 2000s, funding was not identified for the project, although attempts to obtain federal and state assistance has been ongoing for years. Now, during the Stewart years, we still have flooding. Many shiny new above-ground improvements have been completed in our city during the Stewart years, but we still have the flooding. In July of this year, a city official indicated that the system is over 100 years old, outdated, and inadequate to serve our needs, and there is limited funding available. Recently, a state official viewed our photos and was shocked. He says, "I was aware of these flooding issues in this neighborhood for decades, but these are worse than I ever thought." We know that the Allen Street, Hampton, Newbury, Roxbury, Stanley Park pipes are undersized and deteriorating. In other words, they're rotted out. These pipes and all of the associated catch basins overflow during intense rainfall, which impacts Brighton Street and more severely down Hampton through Newbury and Roxbury to the Stanley Park. The photos you are seeing right now tell the story. My home is surrounded by flooding water. A prolonged, intense rain event will flood us out. For 30 years, we have lived with this flooding issue. Over the years, we've received many updates from city and state officials with no results, just more excuses. We are still flooding. This impacts our health and safety, our quality of life. This flooding devalues our property while our taxes increase. And some people say, how can this be? Well, the answer is simple. The underground system is undersized and has rotted pipes, and city officials have chosen to ignore the problem by kicking the can down the road, which John referred to.
Mark, I got to cut you off. Thank you.
I've got one sentence left, and I'm going to say it. This flooding is happening in our neighborhoods, creating potentially disastrous conditions. Thank you for your time. When the photos are done, I'll pick them up over here.
Thank you. Mark Scapoletti?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mark Scapilotti. I live at 55 Brighton Street in New Britain. I'm born and raised New Britain guy and have lived here my whole life. My wife and I have been in the house on Brighton Street for 43 years now. And my daughter lives on Hampton Street. She moved in there about 6 years ago. So we've got similar problems in two different spots in the situation. One point I just want to raise is back in the 90s, we were having some problems in the neighborhood, so we started a block watch. And back in those days, we had the pleasure of the mayor and the chief would come around to visit us, all the block watch captains, and we would have our annual meetings. And it was, I know it's not the most efficient way to do it, but it was a pleasure to get a chance to talk to folks. Well, and again, this was back probably about 25 years ago. We had experienced a number of situations from the folks that were part of the block watch with flooding in the basements. And we raised it with the mayor at that point in time. And he acknowledged that they were aware of it, and he acknowledged that the understanding was that this was a situation that he had said was a problem down at the end of Allen Street by East Street, and that there were plans that were going to be put in place to address it. Now, I don't know if anything was ever done. I didn't experience the same level of problems at my property in Brighton Street for a number of years. My problems are, I have a deep sink in the basement, and unfortunately what comes back through the deep sink is sewage. That's a little bit different. My daughter's house on Hampton Street gets water flowing from behind her on Allen Street and then up from Hampton Street. And when we get the rains like we've been having this summer, her yard literally has 4 inches of rain water in it. She gets, because of the water table, the water comes up through her basement. So it's not sewage in her case, it's just because of the volume of the water. Now, we spent $2,600 trying to mitigate that problem for her the year after they moved in. But unfortunately, because of the volume of water that they get, it hasn't been able to stop it. I understand climate change. I do think that things have been exacerbated, but this summer has been something that none of us have been able to keep up with. So, again, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak. My only request is that can we find a way to make this a priority so that we can end the problems for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret, is it Meserek?
My name is Margaret Messerschmidt. I live at 6 Hampton Street. I've lived there for the last 12 years, and I've been a homeowner in New Britain since 1986. I heard about this New Britain flush movement that you guys are trying to set into motion, and I'm all for it. But right now, I have to support these other guys in their concerns. I mean, this is the 5th time this summer that I have to go down in my basement, clean up a mess of water, despite the sump pump. The sump pump can't keep up with it. The sewers can't keep up with it. And obviously, the sewer system in the neighborhood has to be modernized. And I'll echo what they say. Parks are nice. Brick sidewalks are nice. New public spaces downtown are nice. But infrastructure is where it's at. You can't live in a place where dirty water is sitting in your basement every time you turn around. I checked the FEMA maps, and what they say about our neighborhood is a low risk for flooding. Obviously, it's not anymore. So I would like you guys to get on it, update whatever needs to be updated, and get some work done and get us in the queue. I know you're probably concerned about other places with this New Britain flush operation. I know that we probably haven't been on the radar as much as a lot of other neighborhoods, but we are really suffering now, and I would appreciate your consideration there.
Thank you. David Obudzinski?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is David Obudzinski. I'm the president and CEO of the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain, located at 74 Vine Street in town. Normally, I'm meeting with people, talking to them about establishing charitable funds, scholarships, working on projects throughout our four-town service area. Tonight, I'm here as a member of the executive committee of New Britain Recovers, and I'd like to express my support of the Common Council resolution recognizing this as Recovery Month. Celebrating recovery in all ways that we can only supports all efforts taking place citywide, whether it be organizations helping individuals, families helping individuals, or individuals helping themselves. And as someone who lost a close family member to addiction, and as a foundation leader that oversees thousands of dollars going out annually, supporting dozens of nonprofits, and what New Britain Recovers does, all doing great work in this city, I thank you in advance of your adopting this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Phillips?
My name is Ed Phillips. I live at 184 Overlook Avenue. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There's some new faces and some old faces here. But I was here about 5 years ago with the flooding that goes on our street. And this is effing stupid. I've been through 5 storms already. I'm in hacked over 15 grand. Every time I fix it, it gets flooded. This water is backed up so bad that my concrete floor is heaving. Now my house is gonna be worth shit. I got estimates of 50, 60 grand to fix this. I ain't got 50, 60 grand. This is just out of control. This has been 25, 30 years we've been waiting. And every time we come down here, it's the same thing. Different faces, but the same thing. No money. Oh, we're working on it. Oh, it's this, that. I mean, when's this going to stop? I feel bad for the people on Allen Street and stuff. They're going through the same thing we are. 30 years, but downtown New Britain looks super for what? For all the drug addicts? I mean, this got to stop. I mean, how many more times do we have to come by here? What's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't, you're going to get a 911 call in our neighborhood. Somebody's going to die because the ambulance is not going to make it. This water's 4 feet. And maybe that's what you people want, is somebody dead. This got to stop. Now, I go down City Hall last month. Oh, we're working on it. Oh, we got a proposal. Oh, it's this, that. 5 freaking years that we came down here and they were supposed to start getting this going, and nothing's being done. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say, except somebody's going to pay for all this. And if you're waiting for someone to die because of it, that's pretty sad. Really, it is. I mean, I don't know why it takes so freaking long. What, the money? If we got money for all this other stuff, the bridge that lights up, we got money for this, we got money for all kinds of things, except what's important. But you take our tax money. So give us a deal. Give us free taxes for the next 50 years. And leave the water alone. I mean, come on. Let's make a deal. Enough is enough. I'm sick. I got heart disease. My wife has cancer. And we got to live like this? It wasn't like this in the back early 80s. Ever since you built the freaking hospital, you add new houses, but nobody changes the pipes. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Jim Sanders?
Good evening, Jim Sanders, 600 East Street. I think some of you were hoping I'd go away, but I'm just getting started. I had the pleasure of watching last night's meeting. When I was on the city council, I served on that same committee. And some things I remember about the council is we had a couple sayings. Toolbox was one of them. You know, if we had complaints about ordinances and we didn't have a resolution, we added a tool to the toolbox. When we had our water issue, we didn't have any way of putting water restrictions. Thanks to our council secretary, Jessica, we put together a huge toolbox. So in watching the meeting last night in reference to specifically the moratoriums, specifically to self-storage, as you people all know, you've all been emailed on that, I find it kind of funny that economic development was asking you for tools to be put in their toolbox. They needed time. And Jack said that, you know, they just didn't have anything in the ordinances, which is ironic. They also mentioned that the warehouse and self-storage are the same thing, but you all saw the case law on that. And he also cited crime. So I think a good question tonight would be to ask Chief Marino, how much crime have we had in our storage facilities? The second thing was sausage making. That was Danny Salerno's term. Former Alderman Salerno, I don't know if that was an excuse to keep talking or if he was really describing the process. But the way I interpreted it is that, you know, we came out on the floor, we debated, and we showed the public how things were getting done. We showed them the process. And last night, you went into recess, and in my opinion, you had an illegal meeting. You shut down debate, you were gone for 40 minutes, you came back out, and there was no more debate on the moratoriums. So quite frankly, I think item 6 should be tabled, sent back to committee, so it could be properly debated. So I think you guys all know my issue, and I know why some of you haven't been able to respond, because you're intimidated. And that's what comes out of that corner office, incompetence. What's going on here, 30 years? It's not climate change, it's incompetence. So this November, there's going to be another choice on the ballot. There's going to be an independent line. Take a look in wherever your neighborhoods are. Alderman Catanzaro will be on that line. Luna will be on that line. My sister Gail Sanders Connolly will be on that line. Jim Sanders will be on that line. Because no one here wants to hold that corner office accountable. I've had it. The abuse of power, like you said, putting lipstick on a pig and our infrastructure is crumbling. It's insane. It's insane. I'll be actively campaigning against anyone who is rerunning, by the way, and thank you to the ones who aren't.
Thank you. John LaBianic?
Yeah, John Lebenik, 60 Hampton Street, New Britain. Today was my 4th day of bailing out part of my cellar that got flooded for the 4th time since the 4th of July. And it's been nonstop for years. The flooding is so bad now that not only my backyard gets totally flooded, but the side of my house is like a rushing river. It's not just rainfall. It's dirty water that's coming down from Allen Street, and obviously it's not from the rainfall itself. It's from the sewage problem on Allen Street. And not only this terrible flooding that's been going on, and it's very difficult and changes your life just trying to keep up with this, but I don't know if I'm the only house out of all these people who are getting flooded. But I ended up going to the walking clinic twice and the emergency room 4 times because of incredible, undescribable itching. And I have microscopic bugs that are in my bathroom sink. I could see them. They're pinpoint little teeny creatures that you don't even know is an insect. You think it's a little speck of dirt, until you go to clean that little speck of dirt, and it jumps, and it flies around, and they're coming from, I'm sure they're coming from the flooding problem, the grounds being saturated with the sewage water that's coming down from Allen Street. And I think that, you know, it's a health issue. It's not only, you know, inconvenience of flooding water for years and years, but this could affect people's health. Now, why I never go to the emergency room in my life. I made 3 trips and 2 to the walk-in clinics just because of the itching problem that was undescribable. And so I guess I'm getting bitten by some kind of creatures that somehow infested into my my plumbing system or something. But I did see them, and I'm still seeing them to this day, and I'm killing, you know, whatever, it could be 4 or 5 or 6 a day, but they're there, and I'm quite sure this is all because of the flooding. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Lawstead?
All right, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I'm addressing the issue of flooding on my
Just
street.
real quick, name and
Oh,
address
sorry.
for the record.
I'm
Thank
Carol
you.
Ostad, and I live at 38 Wellington Street here in New Britain. I've been there since 1999, and prior to that, I lived on Van Street, so I've been a long-term resident. All right, so I'm addressing the issues of flooding. And my house is drowning, and I'd really like you to save my house, because I've invested a lot in this house, and basically, I'm losing a lot of money, because if I want to sell this house and get out of this mess, I have to sign an agreement telling people that the house is flooded. So it really puts all of us in a very difficult position. If we wanted to get out, we have to sign the agreement saying that we know our house is flooded. So you've put us in a very difficult position. It's a matter of survival now for us. So my house is drowning. You need to send some kind of lifesaver out to help us to solve the problem. When I moved in the house, it wasn't too bad. My stepson lived downstairs, and it was pretty dry. And then after 8 years, when he moved out, we did a little more renovation in the basement, and we started sitting in there. We thought, this is really damp here. And then we began to see it. The water was actually seeping up from the bottom. It's not water coming in from the outside, it's seeping up. So I called the water department, and they said a lot of the pipes are old. That's one of the reasons you can take this insurance policy out now, because a lot of these pipes are gonna go. So I got that advice from the water department, saying take the insurance. Sure enough, one of my water pipes did go. Thank God I had the insurance, and that was covered. In the meantime, I couldn't stand it anymore, so we saved up and went to Quality Dry Basements and had them come in and fix it up for $10,000. So now, not only do I get up in the middle of the night before I hired them and sweep the water out, but now I put $10,000 in to try to stop the flooding. But it's back again. It's getting worse and worse. And I just want to say that, of course, climate change is here. Anybody that doesn't believe in climate change has to have their head examined. But this problem has gone on for a long time, and the city could have prepared for this, because they know if this is a weak area that tends to flood, they should certainly have bolstered it before anticipating that climate change was going to make it worse. So I just hope and do respect that someone will help us out and do something about it. And funny that you mentioned this, because there are these little bugs that are around. I have about 10 little marks here, and I don't know where they're from, but it's interesting that since the flooding has started, we have some different types of insects that are around. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mallory?
Hello, Mallory Dupre, 40 Simcoe Drive. Good evening, members of the Common Council. I'm here tonight to speak on Resolution Number 11. I stand here tonight to recognize and celebrate National Recovery Month. This important observance serves as a reminder of the incredible strength and resilience of individuals who have battled addiction and emerged from it, as well as recognizing the dedicated professionals and support systems that aid on their journey to recovery. National Recovery Month is a time to acknowledge that addiction is a disease, not a moral failing, and that recovery is not only possible but achievable. It is a month dedicated to raising awareness about substance use disorders, reducing stigma, and highlighting the importance of early intervention and treatment. Here in New Britain, we have wonderful service providers and community partners that aid our city residents. New Britain Recovers is our city's service net. It is comprised of various partners such as CMHA, Community Health Center, Root Center for Recovery, Coram Deo, Wheeler Clinic, and others. Shout out to New Britain EMS, who has gone above and beyond to partner with the city's community service office and health departments to create a recovery navigator program, which hires paramedics to partner with police and service providers to address individual needs of those who are struggling with addiction. This month is also about recognizing these dedicated professionals and organizations that work tirelessly to provide treatment, support, and education to those in need. Their commitment to helping individuals on their path to recovery is commendable and invaluable. As a community, we have the power to make a difference. Let us use this month as an opportunity to educate ourselves about addiction and recovery, to reach out to those who may be struggling, and to break down the barriers that prevent people from seeking help. The city's New Britain Recovers Coalition, which is comprised of the Opioid Task Force, our Youth Prevention Council, and Building Hope Together, has put together a public education campaign highlighting our student data. This campaign, which should be in all of your inboxes, includes social media messaging, billboards on Route 9, a TV commercial airing on NBC 30 and all NBC streaming apps, Telemundo, as well as direct mail to all residents in the city. The message is to be aware of your household substances, lock them up, keep them out of reach of kids and teens, and know the laws about providing alcohol and substances to those underage. According to our student survey, kids are able to easily access alcohol, prescription drugs, and marijuana from either their house or a friend's house. So for the month of for Recovery Month, we would like to encourage folks to limit access, as addiction habits can begin as early as preteen years. Let's prevent if we can. Thank you, and let's all embrace the spirit of National Recovery Month.
Thank you. Malia?
Good evening, members of the Common Council. My name is Malia Burgos, and I live on 26th and East Street. I am a member of the New Britain Recovers Youth Prevention Council, and I'm honored to stand before you today speaking about National Recovery Month and to talk about our important public education campaign that has the power to get our message out to the general population. National Recovery Month is a time when we celebrate the incredible journeys of individuals who have battled addiction, as well as those who support them in their path to recovery. It is also a time when we, as youth leaders, play a vital role in shaping the narrative and creating a brighter future. Our public education campaign includes a commercial that I was a part of, social media advertisements, and direct mail to all homes in the city. As a result of the Youth Voices Count survey that all New Britain students took in 2022, it shows that students who have access to substances get them from their homes or their friends' homes. Our campaign highlights the importance of limiting access to youth by locking up substances and limiting the usage of those substances in front of young people. As Youth Prevention Council members and young leaders, we understand the importance of raising awareness and promoting understanding by helping to spread the message of limiting access and destigmatizing addiction and mental health. We recognize that education is a powerful tool to break down the barriers that prevent individuals from seeking help. Our role as young leaders is not just to lead, but to inspire change. We have the energy, the passion, and the drive to make a real impact. Let us use this month and this campaign as a platform to educate, support, and empower those around us. Some things we are looking forward to this year are our homecoming pledge, our promise, which will take place at the New Britain High School prom, and teen sober events. Let us embrace the spirit of National Recovery Month with open hearts and open minds. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Malia. Daniel, Daniel Senior?
Good evening, members of the Common Council. My name is Daniel Senior, and I live at 161 Rocky Hill Avenue. I am a member of the New Britain Recovers Youth Leadership Council, and I'm honored to stand before you today and as we celebrate National Recovery Month. And even more so, to talk about our very important public education campaign, to which has the power to get our message of prevention out to the general public. National Recovery Month serves as a beacon of hope for those who have faced the challenges of addiction and mental health struggles. As a young leader in the community, we have quite a unique but very important role to play. We are the future, and it is our responsibility to shape a society that values compassion and understanding. By spreading awareness and education, we can break down the societal and systemic barriers that too often prevent individuals from seeking the help they need and embarking on their journey to recovery. Recently, as mentioned before, all New Britain students took a survey, and it is known that a majority of our youth get their substances such as alcohol, prescription drugs, and marijuana from their homes or a friend's home. We as a community have to do a better job of spreading the message of limiting access, whether that's from friends, smoke shops, or even parents. It is our job to make sure we stress the importance of saying no. As a Youth Prevention Council, we are able to help spread the message of prevention, but it's also so much more than that. Within this council, our overarching goal is to create an environment where the youth of the city will not only be informed, but also educated and resilient enough to the point where they can and will say no to substances. We are looking forward to a lot of things this year, but a lot of it consists of in-school engagement, such as, like mentioned before, our homecoming pledge and promise for our high school students, which overall serves as an oath for teens to hold themselves accountable while having safe and sober fun. So not doing drugs before school events and making sure that we're having fun, but also in a safe way. I know, so exciting, right? We're also looking forward to hosting youth-centered events, all in the name of, you guessed it, prevention. To close this address, we appreciate the support you provide not only during this month, but all year round. As we launch this public education campaign, please engage with our social media posts, talk to the youth in our lives, and share all of your wonderful resources we offer for the people who need it most. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Attorney Carrier?
Good evening, members of the council. Attorney Michael Carrier, 24 Cedar Street, New Britain. I'm here this evening in support of resolution number 5. It's item number 36186, amendments to the special residential design ordinances. These changes will lay the groundwork for the desperately needed redevelopment of the Mount Pleasant housing project. The changes will give the city more control over the actual development, into very detailed control. And it's a much more stringent process than going through the current meetings, current zoning regulations, or getting a variance for an item that the developer couldn't meet. In this case, a master plan would have to be submitted along with the request for the zone change to the SRD, and then the council would see exactly what's going to go in the development. And the Mount Pleasant housing project is much too large of a project, so it's going to be over 180 units, to not have that type of control where you'll see exactly what's going to be there. And if the developer wanted to change it in any way, they'd have to come back and seek an amendment to the master plan. So it gives the city a lot more control, and everyone knows what's going to go there, and I just hope you'll support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That completes the sign-up list. I'll afford those that have not signed up, if they would wish to speak before the council, please. Just make sure you state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Jason Deanna. I live at 460 Allen Street, New Britain, Connecticut. The flooding, this year, the flooding has been astronomical. I lost my parents and my family due to COVID this past year. And this has just added a numerous amount of stress and financial burden on me. Not only that, I'm having to replace hot water heaters, furnaces, constantly. It's happened 3 times this year alone. And it's overwhelming. And I can't find an end to it. I don't know what to do. I'm like at wit's end. I mean, I had 6 feet of water in my basement today. And I don't even call the fire department no more because the last time I called them, they showed up with a broken pump and said there's nothing we could do. I had to go and buy a mud sucker to suck out my own basement because the city's failing at doing their job. And it's been 30 years I've been living in this house, and it's been getting dramatically worse constantly. It's every time it rains, I'm dealing with flooding, having my tenants upstairs, no hot water. I have to run out and jump over hoops to get money to, it's a financial burden. After losing my family and having to bury 2 people, my brother and my mother last year, I'm broke. I have no more money. Everything I have goes into taking care of my tenants. You know, last year I went all winter without a heater because of the flooding. And I don't know what to do. I'm at wit's end. And I don't know, it's not only frustrating, it's so stressful that, I mean, you get to the point where you just want to give up. And it's hard for me to give up because that's the last thing I have of my parents, is this house. And I don't want to just give up on the house and let it go. You know, my grandparents lived there for 20 years before we got it 30 years ago. So it's like a long-term family house. And everything's starting to go. All my garages are rotting. My main stack, the main sewer pipe going into my house, the water pushes through so hard that it exploded the pipe. And when we had the insurance to pay for the piping, they said they're not fixing the problem until the city fixes the problem because it's just going to blow again. So what do? It's like, okay, now I'm doing nothing for myself. Pay money to get nothing in return. I mean, if they're not going to fix the problem when you pay for the fees for the pipe insurance, I mean, what do? You can't, what are you going to fight them and say, I paid the money, you got to fix it, and then it's going to break next week when it floods again? I mean, the pipe is totally rotted out because the water's forcing in 2 directions constantly. I put a check valve in there, it's blown the check valve twice. That's how much pressure is coming into my basement. I have a sub pump in the basement. That thing works 24 hours a day. I mean, and I had to get a mud sucker, which was $800 to suck my own basement out, and I'm sucking it out the basement door, and it's going right back in the driveway and right back into the basement because the water is it's a raging river going down my driveway. Like, when I mean raging river, if you step in it, it will make you fall down. Okay. It's absurd.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is James Hollywood. I live at 46 Hampton Street. It is 30 years this month that I moved to 46 Hampton Street. And I'm also a history teacher, and so I'm here to help out with some of the history that's been going on from what I've seen. 30 years ago, it would rain, and I would see the river flowing through my neighbor's backyard and into the street. He's describing it again today, literally today. It's also happening again. About 20 years ago, when this was going on as a problem, and neighbors got together and said, we should go and talk to the city and say, we have to get this fixed. This is beyond what we can do. It's something the city has to take care of. Excuse me. So I said, I'm not getting water in my basement. My basement is dry. I see it out on my street, Lake Hampton is what we call it when it rains. And so I was not signing up and getting involved with that. In October of 2007, there was what I call the deluge. It was a historical rainstorm that ended up flooding my basement for the first time. And from then on, every time it's rained, water has gotten into my basement. I now have a pump and a sump in getting the water out. And yeah, I've had to upgrade that pump because the water's coming in faster than it can be pumped out. And obviously, it's something that the city has been aware of for all these years. Things have been done so that, for instance, there's a big new drain over in the park. We call it Duck Pond Park, over by Roxbury and Stanley Street. And now that's getting overwhelmed. And so again, it's filling up and becoming a pond when we have water. People are talking about this summer as like, this is a big thing, so many times it's rained and all. It's not an historical deluge. This is not something that is huge rainstorms. It's regular. And yes, maybe it's more often this summer because it happened to go that way, but it's just regular rain, and it's overwhelming our capacity in our neighborhood. And basically, that's what the city is for. We come to New Britain, part of the deal was, I heard, got a really good drinking system, a water system, and good drinking water, and it's what New Britain was known for. And that's what's good. That's what you need a city for, is to have the right kind of infrastructure that makes it a pleasant place to live. The parks are beautiful. The bridge is beautiful. I really gotta like that kind of stuff. Have an anti-blight campaign to get rid of unsightly things. Well, the bad site now is basically our basement, and we can't take care of it. It is something that has to be taken care of on a bigger level. So you gotta reach down and take care of it. That's basically it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick?
Hello, council members. Rick Lopes, 208 South Mountain Drive, New Britain, Connecticut. Earlier this week, I was contacted by Mr. Chase, as he mentioned, about the flooding issues down in the basin. I was familiar with them years ago, maybe a decade ago. I was involved in complaints from that neighborhood. Just want to put a historical context into this. Flooding on certain ones of those streets, and there was some remediation done. They did get better. When he contacted me again, I heard from him and a couple others in that neighborhood, and showed me some pictures, and it definitely is worse. It was worse than it was 10 years ago. And more importantly, it does seem that it's happening every storm now, not just a major storm. Maybe we're getting more major storms, but it's definitely happening on every single significant storm. And I'm not going to reiterate what people have said. They stated it as well as it's going to be said. This is a pretty serious problem. I know people are going to take it seriously, but I just came down tonight to emphasize that this is something we need to address immediately. I took a drive down there today around 11 a.m., really before even some of the real heavy stuff came. I couldn't get down Allen Street, major thoroughfare. I turned, Roxbury was backed up, Brighton was backed up. I could still make it through Brighton in a truck, but it was filling pretty quickly. So there's 3 or 4 streets by 11 a.m. that were not passable. And that's something we just can't tolerate, let alone what it's doing to people's houses and their lives. So I just wanted to come down here and add my voice to that. This is a serious problem. I hope we take it very seriously and address it as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak for the council?
Good evening. Andrew Pope, 87 Brighton Street. 2 years ago, I took my life savings and bought up my first house on Brighton Street. That was a lot. And now I get sewage water in my basement. I started raising my family there, and it's just been horrible. I don't know why you guys want to leave this like this, but you do. And I'm not here to blame anybody, and I'm not here to dwell on the past like everybody else has, because I'm new, right? It just seems obvious to me that the house price is going to be what you guys care about, because that'll get you more tax money. It's got to be that simple, right? If you let the city be built on sewage, the house prices will go down. If you build up the infrastructure, the foundation of the city, it will be better for everyone, right? And that's what we all want. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Damien Buffano. Me and my family reside at 40 Hampton Street here in New Britain. Our basement comprises of 1/3 of our square footage, and it is actually where our children's bedrooms are housed. The flooding issues began in April despite having sump pumps installed. They were working tirelessly, and it wasn't doing its job well enough. So we decided to have a new French drain system installed to the tune of roughly $10,000. It essentially drained our bank accounts, but we knew that this was an investment that we had to make for our children's sake, for their health, for their well-being, so they could have a location where they could go to feel safe and secure that was theirs and theirs alone. As a requirement for this system to be installed, we had to fully demolish our basement, right down to the studs. After the system was installed, which drains 80 gallons per minute at the present moment, we invested another rough $10,000 in putting their rooms back together. We got as far as replacing the studs and the walls, and we just got to the part where we were redoing electrical and putting up sheetrock, only to find that this system that had just been installed was not sufficient enough. It had worked so long and so hard that it overheated, and as a safety mechanism had to shut down, allowing upwards of 400 gallons into my children's bedroom in a matter of minutes. In our home, we have two parents, myself and my fiance. I have recently lost my job due to heart-related issues and complications. We are now down to one income and one income alone. We have two school-aged children. We also have an infant, which I'm sure some of you have actually heard out in the hallway. Sorry about that. And we also have another one on the way. So it goes without doubt to say that we don't have the funds to continue to dump into this system, the thousands of dollars we put into the repairs, the renovations, HVAC system situations. We don't have it, okay? Our children need their rooms back. And we are the type of people that do enjoy making lemonade when you have lemons, but I do think it's a little bit ridiculous to have the ability to have a boat paddle down your street. If you can fish in your front yard, it's not a lack of preparation on the individual's parts. And I would just like for my children to stop suffering at the hands of something that we're not doing. So, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Second time, anyone else wish to speak?
Good evening. James DiVirgilio, live at 190 Overlook Avenue. Eddie is actually my neighbor that lived here before. We do have it very bad there. We've been down here multiple times. Reason I feel we're not down here in more numbers is everybody's still cleaning up. This is ridiculous. You know, I'm a fleet manager at Bristol Public Works myself. I actually had to leave my job today to come, here because you can't do theirs here. I'm losing time. My family's losing time. It's a mental thing. We're screwed. I mean, they put in a culvert box at the top on there. What's that going to do? Collect more water? It's not going anywhere. It's backing up even more now. I mean, whose idea was that? I mean, I just wanted to be another voice on here. Like I said, my family's broke. Father-in-law, lost his car 4th of July. Totally unexpected. I mean, something's got to be done. We're tired. Tired of coming down here. Everybody's tired. We are mentally drained. Tired. What are we going to do? I call a water department. I talked to Gary that's over there. Gary told me we have 8-inch pipes that can't handle the water. I mean, is he the engineer? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time. It's just, we want results. Tired of getting beat around the bush. This is crazy. That's pretty much all I got. I mean, help us, please.
Thank you.
You don't need to know my name. It's, no, you don't, honestly, because my name is Nicholas, that's all you need to know. When was the last time that you rolled up your sleeves to, help out any of these members of the community, clean up their basements, roll up the carpet? It's ridiculous. I've done it 7 times now in the past 3 months. I've spent $12,000. I've spent 40 hours putting up framing just to rebuild my kids' bedrooms, 9 and 7. All right, sir. I have spent multiple times overseas, and that has not. I shouldn't have brought that up. But you know what? What have you done for our community, personally, to prove to these citizens here that you're doing something for us? My girlfriend brought up, I was able to bring out a paddle boat and go fishing in my front yard because of this flooding. I spent $10,000 on a trench system on a house that I just bought. And I don't think anyone wants to spend that amount of money. They don't want to make their kids lose that bedroom space. Make them sleep on the couch for a month or two while, mom and dad do all that. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort. Do you have that time, sir, as a, committeeman? I don't think so. I'm a full-time, I work full-time as well, and I'm sure a lot of these members of society as well do. But show us. Can you roll up your sleeves and help us? Can you be behind us to help with this issue? A lot of us were out there, and I've got pictures of us trying to clean these drains to help them drain out so they don't flood our basements. Are you willing to be out there with us, or any of you? Take off your suit, put on your clogs. Prove it to us. That's what I ask. That's all I ask of any of you, is prove to us that you're willing to do something for us. Make that step forward. Can you tell me I'm wrong? And that's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Third and final time, anyone else wish to speak before the council? Okay, that's it for those in public. You do have someone on the line, or multiple?
Caller 2319.
For the caller, please state your name and address for the record. You may begin. Okay. Is that the only one?
That's the only one.
Okay. Okay, seeing no one else wish to participate, public participation is now closed at 7:59 p.m. Any council members wish to address what was said tonight? Alderman Hargreaves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, to the residents of Allen, Roxbury, and Brighton, and Hampton Street, and Overlook, Wellington Street, sorry. I understand that there was flooding in that area on Allen Street. Had no idea it was to the extent that you guys described today. The fact that people's basements are flooding, I understand that this was a different year with a lot of substantial rainfall this year, so this was probably one of the worst years you've seen. But yeah, we apologize. And nobody should have to go through that and spend tens of thousands of dollars to have to replace that. So putting this on our radar is definitely something that we like. Before today, nobody ever called, nobody ever said anything, so I was not aware of some of those issues that you guys face today.
Sorry, the mayor was aware.
I'm just saying I wasn't aware. I'm saying I wasn't aware. So as long as when we we can advocate for you guys if we're aware of things. As far as Overlook Ave, last month in our August meeting, we did pass a resolution to have an on-call engineer to pull up the final bid documents to complete that project. So hopefully that project should be coming down the pipeline now. As far as the other areas, thanks for letting us know. We'll continue to advocate. We don't want you guys, as New Britain residents, as taxpayers in this city, we want to make sure that your houses are, the same as anybody else. Your basements deserve to be dry, and if it's an issue with our systems and our sewage, it needs to be addressed. And I'll continue to advocate for that, so thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also echo the words of my colleague, Alderman Hargraves. We are sorry you had to deal with this. I live in the Allen Street area, not as badly affected by the flooding, but my neighborhood too saw water today. And the last gentleman, I do feel for you, sir, for working all day, having to come home and having to deal with that. I'm literally not wearing a suit today because I didn't have time. I worked all day. I worked for the school district, and we had 6 feet of water deep around Slade Middle School. There was a foot of water in Slade Middle School today. So not only your homes, but our city buildings are being affected by these monumental storms, by this problem. Took me all day with an army to clean up Slade. So I feel the pain, and then I had to go home, clean up the mess in my parents' house. Okay? I know there's other council members around here that had to deal with the same thing in their basements, help their neighbors or their family members. We are with you. We apologize you're dealing with this, and we're doing what we can to correct that. And that's the hold music.
It's a diversion.
I am a DJ on the side, so that works out. What are we doing to help? I'm going to talk about a couple of those things right now. But first, this was a problem for many towns throughout the state today. As I'm sure you know, if you watched the news before you came here this afternoon, it was breaking news. Waterbury was all over the news today talking about the same thing. The news trucks were in our town, out in front of the schools that flooded. It was Slade, Pulaski. There was water damage in the high school. The new Chamberlain playground flooded. And we spent $1 million on a drainage system at the Chamberlain property to remedy that swamp, and it was still a problem today. These are monumental storms that we're dealing with. Today I wanted to point out that to you, today at the Capital Regional Council of Governments, New Britain was actually recognized for being one of very few towns and cities in our region that has a water authority and a plan in place to address these problems. And we are funding that little bit by little bit as we can. We need help from our state delegation, and Mr. Lopes, thank you for being here. We have submitted for grants that are still in progress to be funded from the state to fill it out. One of them, for instance, and I have to kind of read the paragraphs backwards, so excuse me if it's choppy. The Hazard Mitigation Grant Program is one that we've applied for as a 25% local share that we are willing to meet. And the last project estimate for the Allen Street area, which is the area that you all hear directly talking about, was $6.7 million. Weston and Sampson was engaged by the city and submitted an application in October of 2022. Public Works engaged them to prepare that application. The applications were then forwarded to FEMA by the state within a week of being received. The Connecticut Division of Emergency Management reviewed our application and provided an RFI which was responded to and resubmitted on February 1st. Since then, the engineering department from our city has reached out to the state and, to get an update on the HMGP grant, both on May 19th and July 12th, but has not heard back. In addition to that, to further attempt to fund this program, the engineering department submitted another grant on August 18th, 2023, through the federal DOT called PROTECT, Promoting Resilient Operations for Transformative, Efficient, and Cost-Saving Transportation Program, to attempt to fund this program, and we have not heard back. So our engineering department, the public works department, is submitting for the money so that it isn't a full burden on your direct tax dollars. We are doing the work to put together the projects to save these areas and to upgrade that infrastructure. It includes upgrading that 8-inch line that you're talking about to the 15 or 16-inch line that is required to move that water. So I stand, like I said, to apologize to you all. You don't deserve the water in your basements, in your homes that you've worked hard to pay for, purchase, and continue to improve. And know that we are doing what it takes behind the scenes. We just can't pay for it ourselves either. So please understand that we're doing the work, and we do hear what you're saying. We're here to listen to you. Thank you.
Too little, too late.
Anyone else wish to speak? Alderwoman Costa.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming in tonight. Your stories are deeply profound. I know that I'm touched. I think everybody on this council is touched. I don't have the answers tonight. I hope that we get to them very quickly. I think there are a lot of people in this room who needed to hear your stories, and they have heard them. And I hope that by you coming together and coming in tonight, we're able to prioritize some work in your area. It is incredibly important that we work together as a community in these moments, and you're coming in here and partnering together to help us understand the urgency and the suffering and the critical pain points that you're dealing with and your families are dealing with, and the length of time that you've been dealing with these problems are important for people like me and Alderman Hargraves and others to hear, because I don't have the history. I do, however, live on Amherst Street, just a neighborhood behind all of you, right by the college, and I understand very much what this experience is like because we're getting water too. So I share that with you, certainly not for the length of time that you guys have had these experiences, nor some of the very painful complete movement or bugs. It's really devastating to hear that this is happening in our city. I'm sorry that you are going through this, and I want you to understand that you have been heard, and we are going to do everything we can to prioritize this work. We're going to work with the right people. We are going to talk to the right people. We're going to understand where these projects are at, and we're going to look to help you have a much better experience, a quality of life in New Britain. Everybody deserves that. So thank you for coming in. It's incredibly important for you to participate in this process. Thank you. I also want to thank all of the speakers that came in for Recovery Month, because I'm so impressed with your contributions tonight. It's been a long night. We've had a lot of public speaking, and we're so grateful for the Youth Leadership Council for coming in and sharing their thoughts, promoting education in recovery. That is so important, and we've had a lot of heavy conversation tonight, but I don't want that to be missed. We're really proud of you. We're grateful for all that you're doing. You're sending a message. It's very important among your peers, and it's pretty hard. So thank you for all that you're doing, and thank you for coming in tonight to continue to support and promote this work that you're doing. We are proud of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderwoman Costa. Anyone else wish to speak? No, just in conclusion, I want to appreciate or thank everybody that come. We really do appreciate hearing from you and listening to your concerns. We're here to advocate for you, so thank you. The mayor will be here shortly to start the regular meeting.
My birthday is this month, though. It's at the end of the month. It says anniversary. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank
Oh, yeah. Good things I don't have. Yeah, I know. All right.
Happy anniversary.
Thank
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Hey, what's going on? Nice to see you. Good, good. Back for another round. Yeah. I think we did most of the
Stay in touch.
Council members, if you could start making your way to your seats, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the New Britain Common Council. The date September 13th, 2023. The time's 8:19 p.m. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderpersons Dyson.
Here.
Ayalon. Catanzaro.
Here.
Costa. Hargraves. Malinowski. Ortiz Luna. Pabon. Russell. Rutkowski. Sanchez. Skirpo. Segura. Thompson. Smedley.
Present.
11 present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Can we all please rise for the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let us pray, O God, our Heavenly Father, as we mark the 22nd anniversary of the September 11 terrorist attacks. We ask for your blessings. Look down on the brave men and women who dedicated their lives to protect us, both foreign and domestic. Develop in our leaders the principles and commitment to protect our citizens from future harm and help them lead the world through the strength of our convictions and ideals. We ask this in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to apologize in advance if I have to disappear at some point in the middle of this meeting, but I turn into a pumpkin slowly at night, and my ankles start to swell. At 8 months pregnant, this is just not something good right now. Alderman Smedley, approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of August 9th, 2023.
I have a second by Alderman Russell. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any amendments this evening?
Yes, Your Honor. I make a motion to amend the agenda by substituting item 14.
I have a second by Alderman Malinowski. Any questions or comments on that? Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderpersons Dyson.
Yes.
Catanzaro.
Yes.
Costa. Hargraves. Malinowski. Ortiz Luna. Pabon. Russell. Rutkowski.
Yes.
Segura. Smedley.
Yes.
11-0, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Clerk, we've got a bunch of petitions this evening.
I don't know about a bunch, we've got 6 of them, all from Alderman Smedley. The first 5 are dealing with zoning map requests. The first one's Burt Street, second one's East Street, south of Ellis Street and north of Bingham Street. Third one is intersection of North Street and Stanley Street. Fourth one is Osgood Avenue. Fifth one is East Street between Newington Avenue and Road Street.
So
And then-
all of those will be the same.
Yeah, and then the 6th one is to amend Section 220 of the zoning ordinance to remove curb service type eating establishment from prohibited use list.
Again, they're all going to the same place. So
Same
all
place.
6 of them are going to go
Yep.
to city plan and the zoning committee, please.
Thank you. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, Alderman Smedley, we'll move on to our consent agenda tonight.
Thank you, Your Honor. Make a motion to accept the consent agenda of items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, and S.
Second by Alderwoman Ortiz Luna. Any questions or comments on that? Mr. Clerk?
Alderpersons Dyson.
Yes.
Catanzaro.
Yes.
Costa. Hargraves. Malinowski. Ortiz Luna. Pabon. Russell. Rutkowski.
Yes.
Sagara. Smedley.
Yes.
11-0, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. We'll get into our resolutions tonight. Resolution number 1, Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 1.
I have a second by Alderman Pabon.
Thank you. This item was returned from committee. It's 36182 to change the A3 multifamily and B3 neighborhood mixed use located along Glen Street to CBD Central Business District, and I do urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Smedley, or any other alderpersons wish to comment on this item. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 2.
I have a second from Alderman Malinowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. This item, 36183, also returned from committee last night to change the OP Office and Public Buildings District located at 458 and 462 Farmington Avenue to residential, and I do urge adoption. And, Your Honor, Jack Benjamin is here if anyone does have questions related to these, although we discussed them ad nauseum in committee last night.
Thank you. The alderperson wish, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley, resolution number 3.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 3.
I have a second from Alderman Hargraves.
Thank you. This item 36184 also returned from committee to amend the zoning ordinance section 240-50 relating to the maximum access driveway requirements for parking in the front yard, and this will help many neighbors who have difficulties with multiple vehicles on their property. I do urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Smedley. Any questions or comments on this one? Alderman Sagara?
Yes, could somebody clarify what this means?
I'm sure Mr. Benjamin can come up and give a quick summary.
Good evening, Jack Benjamin, Director of Planning and Development. So the access driveway issue right now, the way that the regulation is written, you can only, you can have a up to a 20-foot wide curb cut going into your driveway, but you can only legally park in the part of the driveway that leads to a parking space beyond the front yard setback. So this is going to remove the word access, which is simply going to allow people to be able to widen their driveways and park on either side. It's going to allow for tandem parking rather than stacked parking, which is currently illegal.
Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 4.
I have a second from Alderman Pabon.
Thank you. This item's to amend the zoning ordinance section 217-20, 217-30, and 217-40 relating to the transit-oriented district development districts to establish a more pedestrian-friendly environment, and I do urge adoption.
Any questions or comments on this? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 5.
I have a second from Alderman Hargraves.
Thank you, Your Honor. This resolution, 36186, is to amend the zoning ordinances, section 125 and 125-10 relating to the special residential design district to establish a floating zone to be overlaid on existing multifamily residential zoned parcels, and I do urge adoption.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley, item number 6.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 6.
Do I have a second by Alderman Pabon?
Thank you, Your Honor. Item number 36187, to amend the zoning ordinances, section 22020 and 22020-10, to enact a moratorium for a specified time period on certain uses, including motor vehicles, self-storage, non-commercial spaces, and what was the fourth one?
Group homes.
Group homes. Thank you, Your Honor. During our committee meeting, we heard from Jack Benjamin in a presentation on his department's need to define some regulation around some of these items that are listed in the moratorium. The council feels that we respect Jack and his department and their team, and we wish to have them continue to do said work. We understand that there is a need for it. The council as a whole feels that we don't need a moratorium at this time for these items, so therefore I'm going to move to table the item, Your Honor.
I have a second by Alderman Russell. Motion to table is not debatable. All those in favor of tabling the item, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed to tabling it? No. For the record, Alderwoman Costa, motion has been tabled. We'll move on to resolution number 7 this evening. Alderman Malinowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 7.
I have a second from Alderman Pabon.
And this is for a FEMA Assistance for Firefighters Fire Prevention Grant for smoke detectors in the total amount of $30,000, with $28,571 coming from FEMA and a local contribution of $1,429 to put smoke detectors in anybody's home who wants it. And I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Malinowski. Any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Malinowski.
I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 8.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Smedley.
And this is another FEMA Assistance for Firefighters grant for professional development training, and we're getting $661,916 from FEMA, and we're kicking in another $66,192 for a total amount of $728,108. And I urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Malinowski. Are there any questions or comments on this grant acceptance? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Russell, resolution number 9 tonight.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 9.
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Malinowski.
The Police Department requests $37,879 to purchase a Total Fitness workout station with accessories. This fitness equipment will replace the current one they have, which is 10 years old and are no longer safe for them to use. I urge an adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Russell. Just for the record, this is being purchased with federal asset forfeiture funds, not through the general fund. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley, resolution number 10.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 10.
Seconded by Alderman Pabon.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I just want to point out that there are small ribbons on all of our council member desks to go along with this resolution. And I'll read the resolution and you'll understand shortly. Whereas almost 20,000 women are diagnosed with ovarian cancer in the United States every year, and about 14,000 lose their lives. And whereas each year during September, women living with ovarian cancer, their families and supporters, along with patient advocacy organizations, come together to raise awareness about ovarian cancer. And whereas Diane Helping Hands educates women about the signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer, raising awareness and advocating for early detection and intervention against this form of gynecological cancer. And whereas Diane Helping Hands Incorporated will be encouraging and supporting the warriors celebrating with survivors and honoring the Angels of Ovarian Cancer on September 16th, 2023 at their second annual Ovarian Cancer Awareness Walk. And whereas the City of New Britain unites with Diane Helping Hands and all those who are courageously battling ovarian cancer, those who have tragically succumbed to the disease, their loved ones, and the devoted healthcare workers. And now therefore be resolved, the Common Council of the City of New Britain and Mayor Aaron Stewart proclaim September 2023 to be Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. And I do urge adoption, and I urge my fellow colleagues to wear their ribbon. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Smedley. Neither alderperson wish to comment on this item. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Russell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 11.
I have the second from Alderman Catanzaro.
This resolution allows the City of New Britain to recognize September as National Recovery Month. I am honored to present this resolution. Recovery is very important to me. There are so many people out there that need help. New Britain is a recovery-friendly city, and I would like to thank all those involved in the programs we have, such as New Britain Recovers. Thank you, Mayor, for everything you do. Thank you, Mallory, EMS, Fire Department, the Police Department, and there's so many more I would like to thank, and especially the youth leadership as well. And I urge an adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Russell. The other, Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. Obviously, you know something near and dear to my heart. August 31st, we all were at Walnut Hill Park for that overdose awareness, which was a tough day. But, you know, this was put on by the state this year. The one that we did a few years ago, I hate to say this, I liked it better. I mean, it was more local people. You know, we let go of the balloons. It was just really, really something. And I want to thank New Britain Recovery's, the Youth Council. I mean, it's amazing. You know, you're really touching lives. As we know, your peers will listen to you. They won't listen to us. I know from my 8-year-old, forget about it. You know, we're doing amazing stuff. The problem is money. Money, money, money. We've done what we could. The state and the feds have to pony up. The numbers are going the wrong way. We're doing everything we possibly can in New Britain. We need beds. We need beds. I know with the youth, we're doing a great on prevention, but we have to do more, you know, with the current issues with the people that are addicted now and saving lives every day. Again, we're doing what we can. We're doing more than most, that's for sure. So you ever talk to your state or federal people, call them, call your congressman, call your senators, call anybody. You know, this is a national crisis. The numbers are staggering. People that are dying, our people, our neighbors, our family, our friends. So I just want to say, I'm proud to be in the city because of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Catanzaro. Any other alderperson wish to address this item? Alderwoman Costa.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. New Britain is diminishing the discomfort with talking about recovery. I'm grateful to our administration for prioritizing this work and for allowing us to talk openly and comfortably about recovery. If we don't do that, we can't educate people and we can't reduce the numbers. We don't have the money, so education is important. And thank you, Mallory, and your entire team and our entire recovery system for ensuring that we are infusing that education in our schools. And we've got a DARE-like program, and I can never remember the name of the program, but we are making sure that that's implemented in our elementary schools because it's effective. Education is effective, and where we don't have millions of dollars for beds, we hope we certainly have money for education so that we don't need those beds in the future. But we've done a really, really good job taking the stigma out of these conversations, normalizing these conversations, and making sure young people and older people of all generations have this conversation and that we have an awareness and an education about this. So thank you all for everything that you're doing to prioritize this work and to save lives. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other alderperson? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Pabon, resolution number 12.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 12.
I have a second from Alderwoman Ortiz Luna.
This is a resolution to honor Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th. And this is one of the most national resolution there is today, because there are over 54 million Hispanic individuals residing in this country, making those Hispanic national largest ethnic minority group around. Just in New Britain alone, we have 30,000 Hispanics living here. And I urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Pabon. Any other comments or questions on this item? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Dyson, resolution number 13.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt number 13.
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Rutkowski.
Thank you. This is for the City of New Britain to join LLS, which is Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, in designating the month of September as Leukemia, Lymphoma, and Melanoma Awareness Month to enhance the understanding of blood-related cancers and to encourage voluntary participation in activities to support education programs and funding of the research programs to find a cure for them. This, as Alderman Catanzaro said, this is, for me, this is near dear to my heart. I lost my closest friend to a blood cancer a few years ago. My wife was diagnosed with CLL about 8 years ago. And I remember sitting down with our oncologist, the doctor, and he said the biggest thing is education is key. And fear is what, actually, when you talk about the number of people that expire on a yearly basis from these cancers, it's because people ignore symptoms or fear the treatments and don't do anything. So the one thing I can say is the one thing we go through on a regular basis is that four-letter word, hope. And I remember one time the doctor said, hopefully, as the longer you hold on, you'll pass from something other than CLL. So awareness is key. Don't ignore the symptoms. Don't ignore the treatments. Just you got to find a way. So hope is it, and I urge adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Dyson. Any other alderperson wish to comment on this item? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski, item 14.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item number 14, I'm making a motion to accept item number 14.
Second. I have a second from Alderman Smedley.
This is contract with Tri-State Materials Testing Lab for special materials inspection and laboratory services. With all the current and ongoing city projects that we have, we need an outside laboratories to make sure that everything is safe, and I urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Rutkowski. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, Alderman Rutkowski.
Make a motion to accept and adopt item number 15.
Second by Alderman Russell.
This is an awarded grant for streets and roads for action planning and grant. This is for up to $437,500. These funds will be used to study our traffic patterns and make our streets safer for walking, biking, and vehicles. And I urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Rutkowski. Any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Dyson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 16.
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Pabon.
Thank you. This is to make an agreement for two purchase orders for $85,828 and $10,491.25 to Connecticut Seal Coating Incorporating of Bethlehem, Connecticut for the crack sealing of various city streets and the caretaker water treatment road during 2023 for the New Britain Public Works Department and the Water Public Works Department, and I urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Dyson. Are there any questions on the crack sealing program? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley? Good? Got it.
I make a motion to accept and adopt item 17.
Seconded by Alderman Russell.
Thank you, Your Honor. This item is for $103,176.37 to CDW Government for purchase of server software for computer-aided dispatch and records management services for our Public Safety Telecommunications Center, and I do urge adoption.
Thank you very much. Alderman Smedley, are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Dyson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 18.
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Smedley.
Thank you. The City of New Britain has been given the wonderful opportunity to enter into an agreement with Tritech Solar to join them to pursue non-residential renewable energy solutions, state agriculture and municipal programs. Tritech Solar shall generate electricity from their Oxford Solar Field project. The solar field project will generate approximately 5 million kilowatts of electricity. Tritech Solar will then pursue NRES SAM program and submit a competitive bid in proportion to the electric generation production of clean energy facility for 20 years. The city would then receive a quarterly cash payment from Tritech from the NRES SAM bid amount that should approximately be $112,000 yearly, and these credits will be put into the city's special revenue fund to be utilized to pay for energy-related savings projects as well as help offset raising electricity costs. The agreement for the term of this contract shall be for a minimum of 20 years with options to renew, and I urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Dyson. Anyone have any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 19.
I have a second from Alderman Russell.
Thank you. As Treasurer Salerno would say, this is where the sausage is made in the tax department, and this is a list of our tax abatements, corrections, and refunds. Do urge adoption, Your Honor.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And Alderman Smedley, the last two referrals.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept item 20 and refer to the Committee on Administration, Finance, and Law.
I have a second from Alderman Russell.
Thank you. This item is regarding a 15-year tax assessment modification agreement with Avon Towers at 102 LLC for 102 West Main Street. I do urge referral.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the referral? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you. I make a motion to accept item 21 and refer to the Committee on Administration, Finance, and Law.
Seconded by Alderman Dyson.
Thank you. This is a 13-year tax assessment modification agreement with Alpha Acquisitions LLC for 189 Chestnut Street, and I do urge referral.
Any questions or comments on the referral? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Made by Alderman Smedley, seconded by Alderman Pabon. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. The time is 8:46 p.m. Have a great night.